And now I'm zooming from Cape Town to Virginia, and I have the great pleasure to say hello to Tracy Prigmore, who is the CEO of TLT. Hello, Tracy. Good morning to Virginia. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Really, really appreciate that. Let's start with maybe, what is TLT? What do you do? What does Tracy Prigmore at TLT do?
Yeah, sure. We're a real estate investment and development firm. And what we do is we empower people to build wealth through real estate. So we provide education and opportunities for individuals, families, and small entities to invest in real estate. There's not anyone I've met that wasn't interested in having real estate as a part of their investment portfolio. So we make it easier. We do all the heavy lifting so that those investors can enjoy the passive income.
Now, PKF Hotel Experts, the name says it, we are hotel experts. Hotels is part of your portfolio, right?
Correct. Yes. Hotels are a large part of our portfolio.
What made you get into hotels? Because the world of real estate is so wide, and hotels is pretty specified and specific.
Yeah. So I was investing in real estate and wanted to really mainly on residential, was buying homes and improving them and renting them for cash flow. Wanted to enhance my retirement funds. And so when the bubble that occurred back in early 2000, I want to invest in commercial real estate. So I was looking for an asset class that I could get excited about. And at the time, I was working for a national healthcare system and traveling majority of the time, doing over 300 room nights a year. I was practically living in hotels.
You didn't need a home.
Yeah, I didn't need a home, but I still had my home. But yes, I was, just traveling around, and I liked a good hotel. And so when I found out that hotels were franchised and were attainable as an investment, I decided to pursue hotels as one of my commercial real estate asset classes. So I started doing all the research and found it exciting and started pursuing a hotel investment.
Talking about exciting, what does excite you at hotels? Because again, there are people who say, no, hotels are way too, what's the right word, volatile, and we don't really know how they're going. But a good office block is the right thing, which doesn't excite me being a hotelier. What excited you about hotels, apart from the fact that you spend a lot of time in them?
Yeah, so I was probably a little naive going in. I mean, my background was in hospitals and healthcare. And so I worked in operations at several healthcare systems. And so I thought that the nature of hotels being an active business as well as real estate, since I had a passion, for real estate, and I really enjoyed the financial benefits of real estate. And then coupling that with an active business to me seemed like a win. And then of course, coming from hospitals where the risk is, killing people, I thought hotels, what's the worst thing that could happen? But it actually, naivety is everything, right? Because as I've gotten into the business, it's a lot more complex than I expected, and the volatility of it. But there's also a lot of opportunity if you put forth the energy. When I was consulting in healthcare, I did a lot of process redesign and reengineering, and so I see a lot of opportunity in the hotel operations to make improvements and stay current with, how our country, our nation is evolving, and how people get information and how they make decisions. And so you can have a competitive advantage if you're, really paying attention and putting in the energy and continuing to ask the why and adopting, to the change. So I see a great opportunity to do that on the hospitality side as well as we're doing healthcare.
Now, how much involvement do you have in this? How many assets do you own now in the hospitality field?
Four assets, and we're looking to grow. Of course, COVID has, put a little bit of a yield not stop completely, but slowed down that progression. But I am the asset manager. So we do have a third-party manager that we use for all the hotels. So I'm not involved in every aspect of day to day, but I am very actively involved in the hotels from an asset management
Right.
perspective and holding the managers accountable and looking for ways to optimize and and to increase the return for our investors.
Right. So definitely a hands-on owner who does it herself, and you want something done, do it yourself. Some people say.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely an active owner. Yes, absolutely. It's a full-time job for me. I left my healthcare job, so
Right.
I
And where are they located, those properties, if I may ask?
in Maryland and in North Carolina.
Okay. And
Mhm.
size, what size roughly? Or an average, is it
Um,
an average size or?
yeah, like 100, a little over 100 keys. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Great.
They're a select
Now,
service and smaller full service. I mean, they're essentially a select service, like
yeah.
as
But
they are.
they're all open, and they remained open since the beginning of this horrible time that we're living through.
Yes, yes. We had one. Our asset in North Carolina probably fared the worst and still lagging behind. It's in a corporate suburb,
Uh-huh.
so very healthy ADR prior to COVID. But as you can imagine,
Yeah.
with corporate, yeah, just so we started when COVID hit. I mean, we were in the high 70s, bumping around 80 in March, early March. Around March 15th, we were down to one. One person, and we considered closing. We had to furlough. We had 30 something staff members, and we went down to four. And we considered closing, but we did the analysis, and it really didn't make sense to close. So the cost of just maintaining would have been higher than the cost of staying open. And so we were soon after we were able to rise, and we stay right under 40% right now at that hotel.
Mhm.
So it was a good decision, to stay open. But we are still, we're still losing money, and
Yeah.
so the stimulus has been helpful to
It's
us.
interesting that you say that it was better to stay open, because a lot of places have closed and I think are not aware of the cost, because you need to maintain the building, you need to keep the water flushing, you need to keep the aircon going, and all those things, for mechanical reasons, but also for health reasons and so forth. And I think that's a lot of people are not aware of those costs that suddenly come tumbling down the road. And instead of then being ready and as you said, even five guests make a difference and pay a little bit of the bills that are still coming in anyway. Absolutely.
Yeah, I
um,
think the most of the hotels that have closed probably are I'm assuming like the large convention conference center type of hotels, because they take hundreds of people, to operate them. But yeah, I don't know. They probably are spending a ton of money to maintain them, because there's no break on taxes. There, and interesting enough, like electricity and things like that, we didn't save that much by having less people. I don't know, how it really works, but those
well, it
costs,
means
there's a base level for those costs.
it
Yeah,
probably means that you were doing pretty well when things were good. You did you did your homework and make sure that all those things were well run. Now, access to finance, access to getting into those markets is something which is very difficult for most people. There is a
yeah,
lack of knowledge, but also a lack of network and what have you. Now that brought you, I believe, to start something which is called She Has a Deal. Tell me about She Has a Deal. I read something about it, but I would like our listeners and people who are watching
sure.
us to hear about it, because I think it's amazing what you've done there.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, so it's my passion project. And when I entered the hospitality industry, I looked around and noticed, I started going to all of the conferences, the big like Alice and Hunter and NYU. And I looked around and I'm like, there's not a lot of women around here. Where are the women? And then when I met the women, most of them, were working for, the brands and for the designers and things like that. There were very few that were on the ownership side. And so I wanted to change that. I wanted to have more women that I could collaborate with. And that was also coupled with women approaching me and saying, "Oh, I want to, I've always wanted to own a hotel. I want to own a hotel. I've been to this conference and that conference, and I still don't know where to start." And so I could relate to what they were experiencing having gone through that process myself, it was to me a certain way that I needed information in order to learn and take that risk. And so it took me a considerable amount of time to get into the business, and I didn't think it really should take that much time to get into the business. It is work and effort, but it took way too long, and it shouldn't have to. And so I had the inspiration to do She Has a Deal to create what I say, create new pathways to hotel ownership and development for women. No one really knows what that number is of women on the ownership side, but it is very low. I'm guessing I read less than 2%. It's probably a lot less than that. When you filter out how many women are actually on the sponsorship general partner side. So there's many women who probably invest in projects, and of course there's many women who are leading many hotel ownership companies. But I wanted to focus on entrepreneurship and women founders, and having them be the lead general partner and founder of these assets. And that's why I created She Has a Deal. Now, I don't know today all of the reasons why. I know that there's gender biases and things like that, and we don't have to go into all those details. We know why women in most industries, right, are underrepresented, minorities as well. But I felt that there may be some other things that are underlying causes, even within women themselves, as to why they don't pursue these types of careers and opportunities. And that's why I said, our mission is to create new pathways. So those pathways, we'll find out as we continue to evolve. We know capital is a big one. We're working on that. But when I formed it, I had three things in mind. So one was, we need to expose and inspire young women to ownership. So I myself had no idea about owning commercial real estate. I thought only very wealthy people owned commercial real estate, and it wasn't an option for me. And so just being exposed, or just knowing that it's an option was a first step, I thought, in bringing more women in at an early stage in their careers as they make their career choices. And then two, we needed to really educate them, like, how do you do it? And then educate them in a way that made sense to them, or how they think, or how they make decisions. And it may, from my observation, it varied from maybe how males do. And then thirdly, we have a platform where women can come together and share. Women who share that interest or that aspiration of hotel ownership can meet one another, collaborate. We also introduce them through our education to luminaries, industry luminaries, who can become to form that network, and can actually sponsor them, or help them catapult to their journey of hotel ownership. So that's what I had in mind. So we created this pitch competition. We're more than a pitch competition today, but we started out with a pitch competition whereby these women that apply and get accepted, they go out and they find a deal, but we educate them. We give them education in the way of master classes with the luminaries, and we educate them on everything from sourcing the deal, to analyzing the deal, doing the due diligence, to raising capital, to actually managing the asset and how to exit the asset. So they're learning how to form their deal thesis and their exit strategies through our master classes. So they go out, find a deal, and then they prepare a presentation and pitch that deal to a panel of judges. And then my firm, TLT Solutions, we attempt to syndicate, or sponsor that deal. And then as winners of the competition, they gain $50,000 in deal equity. So they become an owner in hotels, as they win the competition.
And it's been running for the last 2 years, right?
So this is our second year. So last year was our inaugural year, which was delayed a bit due to COVID, but we did manage to come together in a hybrid, and we did a live stream that was very successful. And we'll do live stream again, but we'll still come together, and hopefully more people will be able to attend the event. So we have the competition, and then we have an awards luncheon where we celebrate women
I think it's a phenomenal idea, even though I'm that male, gray head on top of it. But I really think it certainly sounds to me like real action being taken rather than just talking about it, because a lot of people are talking about it and transformation, and we need to have more equity and more equal representation and all those kind of things. But there you are actually, taking the bull by its horn, as it were, and doing something about it. I think it's fantastic. We're running out of time, unfortunately, Tracy. A couple of words, Black History Month. Is that something that means a lot to you? What does it mean to you?
Well, yeah, I think that, it means a lot, but it's also, to me, still a shame that we just have 1 month to celebrate, because, Black Americans have had a lot to do with the growth and development of this country. And so the fact that we, just have 1 month is, doesn't make sense. We should be celebrating Black history, all throughout the year. But I do understand, that, where our country has come from, and hopefully we're making progress. And so to really feature, Black Americans who have contributed to this country in February is progress. But again, Black Americans have contributed to this country from the very beginning, and hopefully through Black History Month, all Americans will realize that we were equal contributors in this country, and we have a lot to give to the country. So, that's just fact, absolutely fact.
Look, from the little I know, it makes absolute sense, and to celebrate something together and realize that together it has been done and can be done. It gives us a nice way to wrap up. The sun is shining through your
just
onto your face. So let that be a metaphor for let the sun shine on your face. And I hope you continue to do well with your investment, but also with She Has a Deal. Tracy Prigmore, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I send kind regards from Cape Town to Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.